little something, Waj. Give me a little. Give me a little something.
The big money. That's
all
why
right,
they pay
thank
the
you,
big
Waj.
money.
Give me a little something. All right. So first, to the premise, Waj, do you accept the premise of this, that the president knows what he's doing, that when he says he's taken out of context, that's just having it both ways, and that the party knows that its silence is deafening?
I mean, President Trump is the president of all Americans. I think, look, I think the Republican Party is the most diverse party on earth. When I look at the Republican Party, especially Republican congressmen, I see every shade of white under the sun, Chris. I see white men. I see old white men, young white men. I see white men with facial hair, some white men with fades. I even see some white women. Some are blonde and some are brunettes. What I don't see are people of color. Why? Because Donald Trump is a racist, he's a racist president, and he is promoting a white nationalist ideology. I think you can easily say now, especially in the past 2 weeks, you don't even have to go back 20 years, Chris. You don't even have to go back 2 years to the start of his presidency. The last 2 weeks, look at what he said, look at what he tweeted, look what he said against the 4 congresswomen of color, look how he sat there for 13 seconds, loving that nativist chant, send them back home, how he retweeted Katie Hopkins, an extremist, 5 times, and how he attacked Baltimore and said the people that live there are basically subhuman, and how he, on the heels of attacking Elijah Cummings, said, oh, well, too bad that the Representative Cummings' house was burglarized. But I want to say one point. I want to give credit to one Republican, Nikki Haley, daughter of South Asian immigrants, a profile in courage, a woman who sacrificed so much today, Chris, because she tweeted back at President Trump saying, "This is so unnecessary," emoji. Thank you, Nikki Haley, profile in courage.
Hey, look, these days, that's more than is expected. So, Niger, I turn to you. Basically a unicorn in your party right now. Why are you not offended by what you have to see as this president's penchant for division?
Am I offended at Donald Trump calling out a district that has been controlled by one-party rule for over 50 years and where blacks, large number of blacks are in misery? He didn't call blacks in that district, Elijah Cummings, subhuman. He said the conditions are subhuman.
He said
and the
no
conditions
human
are
would live
subhuman.
there.
That's right. And what
do.
he's saying is that the people in that community are trapped and looking for liberation. Look, I saw that CNN poll that the Wizard of Oz brought up, but there were 2 other polls. One, and I actually read this on a CNN site. There was a Fox News poll and an ABC Washington Post poll, no friends of the president, that had him at 22% and 18% respectively in the black community during these tweet crises. And if you average all 3 out, that's about 15% of the black vote. If the president gets anywhere close to 15% of the black vote in this election, I think even the heat knows there'll be a lot of fire, but there'll be a lot of smoke, but no fire on the Democratic side, because Trump will go to a resounding landslide re-election.
Chris, can I do a poll off? Let's do a poll. So a poll this week came out and said a majority of Americans think that Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, is a racist. A majority of Americans think that Donald Trump is more racist than, wait for it, Governor George Wallace of Alabama. For those of you who are watching and are young, Governor George Wallace of Alabama famously said, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. Just let that sink in.
He was a good Democrat.
More people think that Donald Trump is more racist than that guy. And you have to ask yourself, and I want to quote Keith Ellison, Congressman Ellison, in 2016, when he was talking to Muslims who were going to vote for Trump. Why be a chicken for Colonel Sanders? Because if you're a person of color going for Trump, after all this, you are enabling a racist president, and you will be a chicken in the bucket.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a little anecdote, all right? I was sharing a Lyft ride that I took the other day with a young African-American male, probably around 25, 26 years old. And I was just testing the waters and asking him how he felt about Donald Trump and do you believe he's a racist and all the media talk, general talking points about him being a racist. And this young man said a very interesting thing. He says, look, a few years ago, I was underemployed. My family was dependent on government assistance. I'm now working 2 jobs. I have more money in my wallet. And look, let me be practical here, brother. If I have a choice of a guy who's alleged to be a racist that has me working and in a booming economy versus a guy who sounds really nice, makes me feel good inside, but doesn't put food on my plate or give me the opportunity to work so I can put food on my plate, I'm going to choose the so-called racist.
But I don't understand. Where did this sea change in the economy come from?